better than us? Nobody!
Is being chased, thrown on the run, and it is caught. Touchdown, Keenan Allen. What a great...
My goal is not to break you. My goal is to make you harder to break.
Number 6. Number 6.
Huge sack by Joey Bosa.
Touchdown! 90-yard touchdown!
Off at the 8-yard line by Derwin James.
Sets his speed, takes a shot downfield, has Knighton. Caught! Touchdown! Chargers!
Grab your lunch boxes and go attack this game with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
What is going on, Bolt fam? The win is great, but at what cost? And how much longer can this sort of stuff go on to this passionate fan base that just really struggles to handle this sort of stuff, just week in, week out? Guys, I am Andy. With me, Jack and Alistair. You are listening to the Thunder Down Under Chargers podcast. For that, as always, we thank you. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to get updated when our content drops. If you're on audio, kindly leave a review and a rating to help us get deeper into the Chargers algorithm. So, we can just deal with all of the emotion that comes from the 27-20 win over the Titans. Not only does dear Bobby Hart go down, but Jack, Joe Alt looks like he's done for the rest of the season.
The season is over. She's out of here. It's done. Yeah, it's completely done. I don't care what other people say. The fatal flaw in this team is the offensive line, and Justin Herbert will be on what is like 16th or 17th tackle in 8 games, which is great, fantastic. Who cares if Amari and Hampton comes back? Who cares? It just doesn't matter. Herbert is going to be lucky to finish the season standing as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, we got the win. Hooray, hooray, hooray. That is the definition of a Pyrrhic victory. An absolute definition of a Pyrrhic victory. Alt's done for the season. I'll be talking a little bit more about ankles in my teachable moment later, because I know ankles, given some of my injuries in the past. But Alistair, I'm dejected. It's done. We're going to finish. We might make the playoffs, but any good defensive coordinator is going to make absolute mincemeat of whatever we decide to trot out there, not only in the playoffs, but even in the coming weeks.
Cross-examination time?
No, the season's not
No
done.
further questions.
The season's not done. The team is
I'm with you, Al.
6-3. The team is 6-3. Did anybody look at the Bengals' performance? No longer than a few years ago, they made a Super Bowl with a porous, terrible offensive line. The fact is, Justin Herbert is playing quarterback as well as anyone in the league right now.
Absolutely.
He's playing at an incredibly high level. The defense has the pieces and the line and the coaching, I think, to keep our offense in games. Jack, I'm with you. Whenever we face a team that's got a formidable pass rush, I fear for Herbert. I fear for his life. Yeah. So far, he hasn't got injured. That's the risk. But that 6-3 buys you a little bit of leeway to figure stuff out for at least the next few games. Tomorrow is the trade deadline. You don't know if some kind of move will be made. I'll also say Bobby Hart is not even going on IR. So at least that's an additional player here. Jack's turned his lip up. Turns his lip up as if he can smell a 7-day-old turd steaming from my mouth. But look, that's better than nothing. At least... Yeah, it's pick 5 of the draft is out for the season, but the guy we picked up off the couch last week might be able to come back. And Andy, actually, Austin Deculus is maybe coming back soon too. That other terrific stalwart, as Jim Harbaugh would probably call him. Stalwarts everywhere, Andy, along the offensive line. It is stalwart central.
Just a bunch of real lunch pail guys. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just like we've seen a minor improvement over the last sort of month with these guys being in there, Bobby Hart, Deculus, where the penalty started to come down. And today was, pretty impressive. I think Sawyer gave away a false start in there. So they're working so hard towards building a unit that's playing with consistency in terms of the personnel, same as Herbert, right? And that just keeps getting taken away every week. It's for part here and there. Yeah, man, it's tough. But look, you're right. You make a good point about the Bengals being able to go as far as they did with trash. Justin Herbert is playing really great. I think he had a very similar game to last week, where he's still got one or two, throws the interception, and man, Al, we had the opportunity to watch a game together for the first time since maybe week 1, and the excitement went from 100 to 5 pretty quickly with that first error from Herbert. Then followed up with the special teams return touchdown for the Titans. And we're going, okay, we're down 14-7. This is kind of stuffed.
And their offense hasn't scored a point yet.
Yeah. There's a silver lining.
Isn't it?
The defense is only the defense has only allowed 200 yards and 6 points on a game that was. I guess, Jack, I think you said it's always going to be pretty close when you go to Nashville, but that just didn't deserve to be as close as it was, hey?
No, I sort of feel that the Chargers kept it close rather than the Titans keeping it close. Bit of junkyard football. It's always that way sometimes when, you go and play against a team that's, in terms of talent level, a few rungs below you. It just turns in, sometimes going to do a bit of a street fight, and that kind of what it is. But I just need to go back to the offensive line. I don't understand the physiology and the physics of how these men who are 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", 140 kilos just seem to be being pushed around like waifs. I don't get it. I don't get the play strength. Like, surely there's got to be a little bit more somewhere. I know that, your first round talent's not there, but the interior of the offensive line just got absolutely abused. And I know strength, right? I'm not sitting here as some skinny guy being like, oh, need to be stronger. I can bench 170 kilos. I can deadlift almost 300 kilos, all right? Yes, I'm saying those numbers because I've got credibility.
Sound 'em up,
I can't
coach.
play offensive line, no. But I just wish we had a bit more grit and determination. And, of course, Harbaugh's going to be saying, they played with grit, determination. But, geez, I'm just so worried about the way that Ortiz has now coming to light, the way that they've built this offensive line room. Yes, listen, you can't prepare for all the injuries. I understand that. You can't prepare for some of the stuff that's going on. But, gosh, this is very much unlike a Harbaugh team, even with Joe Alt in the lineup, I think. And the chickens will come home to roost very soon, Alistair. But there were some shining lights. As you said, Justin Herbert is playing out of his skin. And my Lord, did he use his legs as well? My Lord, did he use his legs? Running into linebackers, track sticking. It was
Design
great,
runs
wasn't it?
too.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on how Roman schemed and got through the game?
I was at 2 steps forward, 1 step back on Greg Roman. Why I say that is the Titans have their own injuries, right? They've got some backups on backups playing in this game. They don't have Jeffrey Simmons out there, who's their best defensive lineman. They do, however, have Tavondre Sweat, one of the biggest human beings in the world, Jack. I reckon he could bench and deadlift even more. Yeah. But he sits there right in the middle of that defense. And we did come out and run the ball 13 times between the tackles out of 21 times. And I thought this was the game where maybe you would look to stretch it and run a bit more outside zone. So it looked like we did what worked for us against the Vikings, and we were a bit excited about that and came up against a team that's got more beef in the interior. And I will say, because I'm sure Ryan, our buddy, is listening from Powder Keg, what you do feel in a game like this is how you do miss Omari and Hampton, because I thought Vidal's eyes were a little off in this game. I felt like he missed a couple of cutbacks. He went off rogue, off script a couple of times, like he did against the Vikings, ran where you're not actually supposed to run on the play, and it didn't work this week. And what's good about Hampton is he will run the play as it's designed to be run. And between Vidal and Patterson, they had 2 missed tackles between them forced. Hampton has 5 or 6 himself whenever he plays. So there's a real difference. And maybe, Jack, there is cause for that cynicism and pessimism, because if you can't run the ball and you're going to allow the Tennessee Titans, headed by Sebastian Joseph Day, to sack you 6 times, God help us against TJ Watt and Herbig and Highsmith and all of these dudes.
I think if Simmons plays, I don't think we win this game. I think it's as simple as that. If Jeffrey Simmons is playing, I think he is pressuring Herbert upwards of 60%, because Bozeman can't stop him. Zion had a down game. Foster Sorrell is not stopping anybody. I'm so worried, Andy. I'm so worried for Herbert's life, because it's going to be one of those designed runs where he decides to lower the shoulder and everyone goes, yeah, bow up. And we realize that he's separated his shoulder and he's out for 12 months. Cool. Great. Now, I'm really negative today, but you know what? Who cares? Let's go.
It's good, though. I like it.
Come on.
I think it's
good.
better to be negative after a win than to be negative after a loss, in your defense. It's great having a big quarterback, right, that can take a lick, but he's really treading the line with, trying to truck blokes.
But
I thought he ran awesome,
Andy,
and that was just putting the game on his back, right?
Yeah.
Is he actually copping that many big hits where you're going, ooh? He's being pressured a lot, but are you feeling like he's just getting absolutely pummeled?
On his runs? Yeah, there was one or two that looked like an absolute licking, and he's also being hit at a record pace when he's throwing the ball. So
it's most in the league, yeah.
So he's doubling down on just getting smacked, and I don't know. I've faith in absolutely believe in him, but it comes to a point where you got to get a little bit concerned about that sort of thing.
Maybe he likes maybe he likes the whips and chains. He seems pretty happy out there at the minute. He's pumped up, he's firing, he's running hard, he's truck sticking linebackers, Jack. Perhaps this actually suits him, and we've said over and over again, we want to see the version of Herbert that is angry leading this team. They're going to be counted out now. You don't have Joe Alt. You don't have Slater. You've got a guy, though, playing quarterback at the best he ever has been. He's now experienced. He's seen all the coverages. He's got better receivers and tight ends, Jack, I reckon, than he's had, I'm going to say, at any point of a Chargers team that he's been on. He's only been in the league 5 years. I reckon this overall group of weapons is the best he's had. So why can't they still fight and stay in this season?
I think talent-wise, there's a couple of things there. I think talent-wise, in terms of raw potential, this is easily the best group he's ever had. In terms of experience, I still think he leans on Keenan Allen a lot. Ladd McConkey, I truly think that Ladd McConkey has been working through something for a large majority of this season. This game was the first one when I saw him for the first time. I just went, oh, he's got a little bit of pop. I think it was his first catch and he sort of skedaddled a little bit. And there was some elusive. So, but I mean, Gadsden continues to take step after step after step. But there is something that we do need to talk about. The interception. Listen, Herbert really does that. That's one of the bad throws. He seems to be having one a week. The other thing that we really need to watch is how long he's holding the ball for. I would love it if he just goes every now and again, 1 read, 2 read, 3 read, throw it away. Because some of the sacks he's taking, and I just get so worried when he's trying to make something and his body's twisting and you can see all the arms and legs at the base of his feet and he's going, and tries to throw, and I go, oh God, let's hope that's not an ankle or a knee or he lands on his shoulder or something. So I would love him every now and again to just go, nah, sail the ball out. I'm throwing it out of bounds. I don't care about whatever it is. I'm going to get the next one. That would be my only thing, my only knock on him at the moment.
Jack, on that, I'm glad you mentioned it, because this is why going over the tape and reminding yourself of certain things that don't stick out in the box score is useful. That first interception to Cody Barton, that's a little, I thought that was, great play by Cody Barton. It was a timing route. It was 2nd and 5. Keenan's running a spot. Barton's realised, hey, when Keenan's around the sticks, Herbert's just going to get it out to him quickly, and he's jumped the route. As it turned out, Gadsden's broken open. It happens, bang, bang play. Herbert's thrown a timing route. Okay, you got us, 7 points. The one, though, you won't remember probably, or listeners may not remember, we're up 27-20. We've got the ball in our own half. Again, Jack, Herbert runs around and kind of tries to do too much. He gets to his third or fourth read, tries to throw it late to QJ. The ball's actually battered off his hands and pops up in the air. Cody Barton was there again. And you can see Cody Barton jumping up and down, irate that the ball got battered because he thought he was picking it off again. And I watched the All-22 and I think he might be right. I think if that isn't battered, not only could it have just popped up to Cedric Gray, it fell harmlessly to the ground and Barton was ready to jump that route. Might have been 27-27. Dirt the ball, you reckon, Andy? Could he take a bit? And so some commenters are coming after us for being harsh on Herbert. We just want to say Herbert is playing at a level that makes him one of the best in the NFL. But he wasn't doing these 1 or 2 or 3 turnover-worthy-ish plays a game last year. And you don't want to be doing them when you have a big lead or a lead in your own half. Maybe it's on the play calling. I don't know, Andy. What are your thoughts on some of those things we've said?
I think I certainly see, and I said it last week on the show, I certainly see more risks that he's taken, and he's backing himself in, which is all the positive psychology that you'd expect from this guy. Take the risks because you believe you can do it. But there's, almost a second would-be interception. There's a few just like minor errors, throwing behind McConkey, going for first down, things like that, where you're like, I don't actually remember him doing those things. Like, it's once or twice in not big moments, but moments during the games where you're like, so I don't think it's being hypercritical. We're all very loud by saying that he's playing at a level that is, he's top 5 in almost every category.
Is it the pressure then? Is that what's causing it? Is it
I believe it's
jitterbug
I
stuff?
think it's the subconscious telling him that he's about to be poleaxed, because he's just got to kind of get the ball out because there's 3 guys coming at his face on every
Excuse
play.
me?
I phrased it. Don't look at me like that. Corrected and phrased.
I don't know if it's jitterbug, Al. I wouldn't call Herbert's passing, how he's in the pocket, jittery. I wouldn't call he's got happy feet like he was, I think, for a period last year. He was very, very wary to take a hit. I think it is just trying to do a little bit too much. Like, it's all on me now. And you know what? Credit to him. Sure. We can be critical of him, but when the running game's not working because Patterson and Vidal are just you're going to make mistakes. And so maybe we just need to get used to living in the world of this Justin Herbert when he's essentially everything is just collapsing immediately and he's got hardly any time, unless he goes on those big play action rollouts and he's got a little bit of, space between him and edge rushes and things. But, the guy won us the game. I think that throw to QJ will go down as just a good throw, but that's one of the best throws I think I've ever seen him make. That is unbelievable what he did. The trajectory on it, and hey, credit QJ, what a catch as well.
Great catch.
That was exciting, Alistair.
Yeah, great catch, great game. Good on QJ. That's why I was really reluctant to dig in the knife too deep with the guy who didn't get targeted last week, because you called it, Andy. This might be the week against a less capable secondary where it comes to play. His hands were reliable. That beautiful pitch and catch down the right sideline on the back shoulder fade that Herbert threw in the third quarter, 25 yards down the field. Seamless. Pushed Darrell Baker off him, caught it, stayed upright. Darrell Baker's on the ground outside. Yeah.
Baker's
and then just flips the ball to the ref.
Baker turned into one of those humans flying through space gifs. He just wasn't even touched. He just ended up horizontal with nowhere near the ball. Beautiful throw and catch. Yes, it's the
Yeah, I
throws
think-
like that. It's great. It's great for QJ. Maybe, I was saying to you, Al, during the game, I'm kind of going to walk back my stance on QJ being a trade option, a trade out option. But he might have done himself and us a favour by increasing some value there. But it's next man up.
Yeah, I think keep him. But look at the receiving yards, like 68 to Gadsden, 56 to McConkey, 53 QJ, 41 Keenan Allen. And hey, shout out Trey Harris, because whenever he's on the field, I think we're now starting to see some things. And Alistair, you said it perfectly offline about when you sort of scouting him. He's actually doing things with the Chargers that you said were some of his weaknesses, like run blocking, for example. But that first down that he gets to stretch out, that's actually a big play, right? And the guy hasn't really caught a lot of NFL balls, and he's doing that kind of body English. I think it's fantastic, and he's really earning his spot. So yeah, let me go back to what you alluded to, Alistair. Is this receiving room is talented and is gonna be good for the next 2 to 3 years, I think. Even when Keenan Allen decides to hang up the boots, which might not be for a while, there's just so many options. And I think Roman is really starting to feel himself a little bit as well. And that sort of symbiotic nature of that receiver room that he's got. And geez, even Scott Matlock caught a bloody touchdown. But I just need to stop seeing him on pulling and running plays or pass blocking. Anyway, but offense, pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. But to build on what you said, we've got a rookie class who seem like they catch everything you throw their way. Yeah. Forget KLS. Gadsden's targeted 5 times for 5 catches. Trey Harris is targeted 2 times for 2 catches. That's really good stuff. So the weapons are great. The line is going to continue to be the problem. And I said this jokingly offline, when Bradley Bozeman is neither your worst pass protector, it's Foster Sorrell, or your worst run blocker, it's Trey Pipkins, I think you're in some trouble. And the stunts and twists were back again.
They were
unfortunately.
throwing some exotic stuff. That was exciting. Draymond Jones had a great game as well. He played out of his skin.
Yeah. Anyway, do we flip
Scary.
over, lads, to the defense?
Yeah, well said. It's going to be scary to see what happens next week. I think we should start talking about the defense by, I guess, giving our well wishes to Daiyan Henley and family, and recognizing the just what it takes to go through the loss of a family member and then come up and play and lead well. 2 days later, I think he found out the Saturday morning, and suited up Sunday. But awful news there, and thoughts with Daiyan, but played great, I think, and he's sort of kind of warming back up to the role that we have seen and expect of him when he's had a little bit of a quiet patch.
Yeah, I thought PFF was a bit rough on him, Alistair. I don't know. I mean, he's received a 30 overall grade for defense, but he's had 1 pressure, 1 sack. He's had 3 tackles, 2 assists per PFF. I thought he had 9 for the day. It's hard sometimes because different websites do different things, but I thought he led relatively well depending on the situation. But hey, let's just talk about Oweh. What a game! That's a coming out game. My lord, 3 total pressures, 2 sacks.
That was a special drive,
tackling. Yeah, man, he's something that, I mean, we've said it over and over, but that body type we just haven't had in the edge room for a long time, and I'm actually quite liking him and Tooley. They're 2 quite different pass rushers. One's long, big levers, has a bit of speed. Tooley's just your sort of power bull rusher that sets such a strong edge. So, and Aboigbe continues to take steps. So from a defensive line standpoint, I thought, it was a Tooley and an Oweh game. And the middle of the line, I still am, Jamari Caldwell still tends to impress me as well whenever I watch him closely. So, again, good young players there.
That pass rushing quartet is a genuine force to be reckoned with. I'm talking Tooley, Oweh, Mack, and Aboigbe as the 4th. They had two sacks in 3 snaps. It was those same 4 guys. Oweh's first one's a dip and rip. The second sack is a spin move. And that's going to be a really hard group on any kind of second and long or third and long. Those four guys are going to be tough for even good offensive lines to stop. And the Titans aren't half bad up front. So I agree with you, Jack. On Henley, I'm glad you started and led with that, Andy. I thought he made some of the best splash plays he has since that Week 2 Raiders game. Look, there were a couple of those runs there where he was partially responsible early, where Tony Pollard's running outside zone 15, 16 yards. He also dropping into coverage a couple of times wasn't quite in his hook zone. And when you saw those 15, 18-yard completions to Ayamanor...
I was wondering who that was. Yeah, okay.
They've charted against... a couple of them were, at least in his area. They weren't egregious. And he also got his hand on one and tipped one that would have been a completion. So I thought it was his best game since Week 2. PFF disagrees. But I do say, listeners, I'm not individually watching Henley on every single play. I'm watching all 11, and I rewind and watch it again. So take that for what it's worth. Mine's not a perfect analysis like Jack's might be. And anything... look,
Perryman this was one of the first games that, you sort of Perryman's back a little bit. That stop with him and Molden on that fourth down. He is weirdly so important to the way Minter's offense can defend the run, right? He can he's talk about play strength that we lack in the offensive line. He is so strong. He's just chiseled out of marble, Andy. I thought that was a really big game from him as well. We had five tackles. He had a couple of really big stops, especially that goal line one. That arguably was one of the biggest spots to do it in.
Definitely came with a similar intensity that he started out last week. I don't want to be the one that just turns and points out the negatives. There was one run play that he just completely blew up by being way too eager near the point of attack and missed the tackle. And I don't know what planet he was on when Cam Ward threw the ball straight into his throat, but that bounced out. And that was that turnover-worthy play that I was talking about last week that was going to come from Cam Ward. And I think it hurt me a little bit more just because we'd given up points on offense and special teams that I thought, God, just to get that back would absolutely crush these guys. But, he had a big part in that also morale-crushing goal line stop with Molden. So, yeah, look, I'm seeing an appropriate level of improvement week in, week out from Perryman since his return, and it's great. Now seeing a turn of form from Henley makes me feel a lot better with the linebacking group. So it's definitely a positive.
We give credit, but we also acknowledge that we're thankful for Mike McCoy seemingly not understanding the tush push is a thing on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1, going for more traditional.
How's that from us?
Wildcats.
We didn't touch on that, but
yeah. Thrash the
we're using it effectively now with Herbert.
Good.
Yeah. So that was not great. And I've got to say, again, on the All-22, we're a little lucky Cam Ward is a rookie, and a rookie who's not playing especially well. So that flea flicker pass, Ross Tucker in the booth, who's hopeless, I might add, he said, the Chargers didn't bite on that, and that's why nobody was open. Wrong. On the All-22, RJ Mickens bites on it big time. He completely crashes down, and Ward could throw it one-on-one to Ayomana on St. Just with a beat on him. At least give your guy a shot 40 yards downfield, and he just decided not to throw the ball. And we all saw that, remember that 3rd and 18, I think it was, where he had the wide open Van Jefferson, and he's just skipped it. Just like scuffed it.
Like a skipping stone. It was almost like he was throwing stones into the Tennessee River. What's the Tennessee River? I don't know. My American geography's not good, Andy. Tennessee River running through it? Rubicon?
Does the Mississippi go that way?
There's the Mississippi? I don't know. Sorry. Listeners, help me out here. And you know what? Also to be a little,
who just said the Rubicon? Did Andy say the fucking Rubicon?
That was me. Sorry. The Ganges? I don't know. The Amazon.
Dear.
the Viet Cong? No, what's the one in the Mekong? There we go. I'm drawing on my year 7
Well,
geography.
Cam Ward's
knowledge.
performance stunk like the Ganges. That's for sure. That's for sure. There are a few missed ones, and Mickens was amongst the
I'd also be very happy if I don't. I swear to God, Bud Dupree is just late stage Melvin Ingram. The guy just can't make a tackle, and when he hits the quarterback, it's either he just misses or he's just chasing. Like, I believe this is Mr. Gilmore's. The guy from Happy Gilmore. But anyway, hey, shout out to Nico Reed. Was caught on only 14 times, but didn't majorly mess up in that slot corner. So good on you. Well done.
Yeah,
Andy, who's the better tackler? You in the hallway stopping Aussie get to Cash's room, or Bud Dupree?
Oh, me. Yeah, for sure. I finished the move. I had to bite on you saying, that 4 of the pass rush group is becoming quite formidable.
Yes.
I'm so glad you said Justin Aboigbe instead of Bud Dupree, because would have reached through the computer and smacked you up. That's just got to be one of those cuts, at the end of the year. He's got another year on the contract, but man, I saw way more from him last year than I have this year, and we've needed him a lot more this year, and he's just not shown up. So we say on that, the better. Anything further on the defense, fellas? Where do you want to, Al? What have you?
Yeah, I would just say I thought, and again, another strategic failing from McCoy. I don't want to be too critical. Chargers defense kept them to 6 points. So overall, great performance. And I will put my hand up and say I was wrong. I put a tweet out there saying, why are we risking Derwin James in this game? His ankle was so sore that he came out of the last game in the first 6 minutes. Could he really have healed sufficiently that he's got no pain? Well, he certainly looked like he played pain-free, and he was so good in this game that I really wonder, without him, would we have won? So I'm happy to say I was wrong. The coaches and the fitness and the training staff, I should just trust them that when he's not on the injury list, it means he's right to play in the game. But I digress. Mike McCoy should have run the football more in this game because their run game was working and our run defense was looking well. Below expectation. You were right, Andy. Denzel Perryman was slower to react this week. He was playing a bit more just loosey-goosey and maybe too aggressive, I thought, and leaving some big gaps. And they were actually moving some of our interior defensive linemen off the ball, particularly with their zone runs. They were working. So I'm not going to say it's lucky that we won because it was a gritty performance and our offense did just look better than their secondary passing the ball all day, right? But if you unpack it, I think, Jack, there are a few things to be worried about in this game for what beckons against the Steelers. And maybe to wrap up our game discourse, we haven't mentioned special teams, Jack. They're now 32nd ranked per PFF. Yeah. What's going on?
I really think that our favourites, Fukin, is going. I don't know if he'll have a job next year. I just had a brainwave and I was sort of like, well, what's the difference? And I look at, current total snaps on special teams. They're guys like Delshon Phillips, Jasir Taylor, St. Just, Wax, Williamson, Dye, Murphy, who's no longer with us, Dicker, Haskins, Hart. So they're your top 10. Last year, you've got guys like Troy Dye with the most, who had a good year. He was playing predominantly special teams. Tooley, Neiman, Haskins, Matlock, Taylor, Leonard is up there. Quarterman, Dicker, and Henley actually played the 10th most special team snaps in 2024. So that's a big change, I think, and I just don't think our man Ryan has adjusted. We're in big strife, and I can tell you, against the Steelers, there's going to be a Rick Lovato snap that goes high or over someone's head, and it's going to be disastrous. Every single game, I reckon he's screwing up maybe 3 or 4, and
Jack Escott's MVP, Jack.
He's Goldberg from the Mighty Ducks. He's grabbing stuff. They're coming high, they're coming low. He's getting it in, and it's hardly affecting Dicker. And Dicker's doing a great job too, because he knows that. I wonder if he's sort of preparing for the worst. But J.K. Scott has been incredible in the holding game. Unsung hero, but Rick Lovato needs to make like Demi and get the hell out. I don't know if Demi Lovato left. I'm not sure. That's a terrible pop culture.
As we're talking special teams and moving into snakes and ladders for me and Al, Jack has just completely encapsulated my down the snake, being Rick Lovato and throwing or snapping balls directly into the turf, trying to make like a train tunnel or something. It's unacceptable. We need Josh Harris back. Big time. Dean Leonard is also, I'm glad you pointed that out. I think he's working his way back from IR and would be a massive addition to the special teams unit. But yeah, down the snake is Rick Lovato and everything that he's sabotaging the kick game, which has been not short of great over the course. And, Dicker's missed a field goal last week. And J.K. Scott's picking, not only holding like a champion, but picking the ball up off his shoelaces and getting punts off. So get off the football team, Rick Lovato. Al, who's up the ladder?
You started with him. Up the ladder's Daiyan Henley. And I do want to take a moment thinking about how sad this made me feel, because the guy's father remains in custody on a federal racketeering indictment. Some really serious stuff there. His older brother fatally shot in LA around 11 p.m. on Halloween outside a smoke shop. Really sad stuff. Henley's post-game presser was poignant. I thought it was really moving. He said quite openly it's been the worst year of his life. He also said he never thought about missing the game. He said, I felt like I needed to do this for my family. And why he's up the ladder is... you guys will know that I did something pretty strange during lockdown and read the whole Bible. I'd never read it before, and I did it as an exegesis. I was just really interested in the text and how the language has changed and all that stuff, all the different authors. And I thought about Jacob's ladder, the biblical story in Genesis. And listeners, it's a heavily religious country, the US. In that story, Jacob, father of who will become the 12 founding fathers of the key Israel tribes. Jacob dreams of a ladder set up on the earth with its top reaching to heaven and the angels of God climbing up and down. And God appears in the dream and essentially reaffirms his covenant with Jacob and says, I promise to give a land for your people if you continue to show faith and fealty to me. And I thought about that because the takeaway from that story is really it's faith or God, not humanity, that will heal this divide between heaven and earth. And when I think about the scourge of gun violence in the United States, I question whether any person is able to fix it and whether it actually requires something of a divine nature to address what is just a terrible, prevalent problem all across the USA. So that is my ladder for this week. And sorry to get a little bit deep and philosophical, but that's how I felt after a good performance, and he's up the ladder. Let's hope he uses this performance to kick on down the track, Jack.
Okay. Well, I might sort of take the foot off the seriousness and go with a little bit of lightheartedness now. My teachable moment is not biblical, nor is it historical. It is medical, Andy. It's physiological, because I am sick of patella tendons going bang. I am sick of ankles going snap. And listeners, for your knowledge, I was known at school as a young sportsman to have the ankles of a small baby giraffe. Very, very petite, quite light on my feet for a big fella. But my right one in particular needed an ankle reconstruction by the time I was 19. I'll probably never play sport again because of it. So I do know Joe Alt's path to recovery relatively well. We're both big men. He's a lot bigger than I am in terms of height, but I'm just sick of the offensive line. I'm sick of it constantly. Every year we're saying, oh God, if Herbert just had a line. And this goes back to Phillip Rivers. Geez, if Phillip Rivers just had a couple of better pieces on the offensive line. So my teachable moment is this. I, throughout the week, have been looking to blame people. My mind goes to Ben Herbert. My mind goes to Joe Ortiz. My mind goes to Harbaugh. My mind goes to the medical staff. Should Joe Alt be playing there? Because I looked at that ankle and that was splintered up. Something serious. And I really wonder if he was actually all right to go. On X, there's people saying that your tightrope surgery or whatever it's called, you can be back within 3 weeks. I have a feeling that it's a little more sinister than that. And I do question, I'm not pointing fingers, but I do question whether he was ready to go. Sometimes you have to protect players from themselves. But my final message is that there's a long road ahead for both Slater and Joe Alt. I think the future is very, very murky at the moment. But God bless, God willing, all that kind of stuff to draw from you, Alistair. They heal up right, and 2026 is the year where Justin Herbert throws for 5.5, 6,000 yards, 45 touchdowns because he has a healthy offensive line in front of him. That's my ankles dismissed.
Ankles dismissed. Nice. Yeah, look, 2026. We're just hoping for health in 2026.
Hey, healthiness
the shit
is
thing
next to
is
godliness.
the shit thing is for me is that, you know, even if Herbert does drag the team to a wild card berth, and even if they win their first game, if they get into a divisional round contest, and I'm praying it, you know, we win one playoff game, because if the line does let him down and he's not able to overcome what will be a good, you know, a top of the league kind of defensive line and defensive unit, then the media is just going to do the same shit it does every off season.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I've just had a gutful. I've just had a bloody gutful. So
Good point, Andy. Absolutely good point. I think they're going to go, oh, Justin Herbert can't do anything.
Can't do it. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
I tend to agree.
I'm glad Jad actually mentioned that. I hadn't thought of that at all. Whether it's the fact that it was the same ankle returning is what's caused it to be so severe. Had he not had any issue at all on that ankle, would that same thing have put him on IR? Would it have not even put him on IR? We will just never know. So there is, like, I was actually going to come at it with a different take saying, really, is this stuff on Ben Herbert? It's pretty unlucky, guys rolling up on you from behind when you're not looking. It feels like a lot have been really unlucky. But in Alt's case, it is the same ankle where he kind of did race back to the field. So maybe there is room for some healthy criticism there.
And I don't know. I'm not an offensive line
Or maybe
coach.
not.
I'm not an offensive line guru. The fact is we're getting players rolled up on all the time. Makes me think that there's not enough play strength at the point of attack, which means players are being pushed out and around, which means they're falling into each other. Listen, that is just I don't know, someone in the comments, a listener or someone who knows a little bit more about that than I do, please point me in the right direction if I'm wrong.
I reckon I can tell you. It's the fact that the other offensive linemen are shithouse and
Getting
get knocked
Sorrell's getting
fuck
bullied,
over. Yeah, they're getting decked. They're getting decked, or they're just like
Getting
not clued enough.
deckulous.
It's getting...
I don't think you can blame Ben Herbert. Like, this is just more blokes just falling into legs, and there's just no way that you can train for that. And plan for that. Just like the heat that comes onto Ortiz for, you know, depth at the offensive line. I know you said 16, Jack, but it is literally he's up to off tackle number 7.
Unbelievable.
In the wings, right? You can't build a roster planning to lose literally everyone at one position in almost the same kind of way that is completely unpredictable. So I think Alt missed a couple of snaps last week, didn't play all of them. Maybe he came off just to have a breather, get checked up on, re-strapped or whatever. So maybe he did rush back, but the way that whoever it was that fell into him was really ugly.
Joseph Day. It was Sebastian Joseph
Day. That's
Day.
right.
Still killing the team 2 years later.
And Andy, you say whoever's waiting in the wings. I'm of the belief
think it's
that
you,
our
man.
next tackle's probably cooking
Reed.
chicken wings right now, and we're just going to find him as one of the players goes, "Hey, you guys, do you want to come play? Yeah, cool. Give me my chicken wings and come play for the Chargers." Go anyway.
Maybe.
Maybe it is Jack. Maybe I need to offer my services. Who knows?
Put your hand up. Competitors welcome. The Chargers in Week 10 will host the Pittsburgh Steelers, so we'll quickly move on to one little bit of peace of mind and a score prediction. Jack, you're on fire tonight, so I will let you start us off and lead the way through this last little bit of the show.
I really.
I'll get the gong ready.
I really worry what TJ Watt is going to do to the offensive line. I just have this feeling he could have a 5-sack game, or he could have something ridiculous like 8, 9, 10 pressures, because what he did last week against some pretty decent tackles was impressive. So I don't know what the game that Roman has cooked up, but it's got to be quick. We got to have Fisk, Matlock, give anyone anywhere on the side that TJ Watt is, chip him, stop him, try as much as you can, because I do worry about Herbert this game. My score prediction, I don't think we're going to get this done. I think that the Pittsburgh defense always plays well against us, especially as they did last year. I think we lose this game 24-17.
Maybe Roman can even throw a screen past Jack. Who knows?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
This Steelers team, though, I know we're going to focus front and center on what they just did to Indianapolis. They've been such a Jekyll and Hyde team this year, guys. Last week, they had all of their players in consternation saying, guys aren't trying, guys aren't training hard enough. We can't trust what they're doing on the field. Joe
It's always a
Flacco,
Tomlin team, though. It's always a Tomlin
33 points. Joe Flacco and the Bengals got him. The Packers put 35 points on him. The offense they're running with Rodgers is the most conservative, get it out of his hand quickly, 3-yard completion thing you'll ever see. They're 28th in total yards. It's really conservative. Dunk it. So I want to see Minter maybe play a bit more man coverage, because if you do the quarter shell against a team who just wants to dink and dunk, that'll suit him. I do worry like you, though, Jack, because on the other side of the ball, they do still have the second most turnovers, or second most turnovers in the NFL, third most sacks, and I'm still going to stick to this. Whenever we play a team that is top 5 to 10 in rushing the passer and actually getting sacks on the quarterback, until I see that this offensive line can handle it, I'm going to tip against the Chargers from here on out.
Yeah, it has to
for
be
the rest of the season. So, like you, I'm saying, unfortunately, on Sunday Night Football, everyone will be watching Tirico, Collinsworth. There is a chance Herbert just goes Super Saiyan mode and we come out and win. I'm not saying there's not a chance, but if I'm asked to bet, I'd say Steelers 21, Chargers 17, and we go to 6-4, Andy.
Yeah, just for the exact reasons, Rodgers is 49% of Rodgers' completions are occurring between the line of scrimmage and the 9-yard line, and the big chunk of the remaining half is behind the line of scrimmage in his dump offs. And that's an area where if the linebackers aren't clued in enough in their coverage, it's a struggle for us, and we tend to give up a lot of yards. And as you guys have just said, the scale of the inconsistent as it is, Pittsburgh defense compared to whatever the 5 men who are in front of Justin Herbert, it's heavily outweighed. So 20-16 Steelers to win. Sorry, Athea, I'm sure you're going to come at us for that, but it's just the way the cookie crumbles. Hopefully we're wrong, and hopefully we've got another victory pod next week. But unless there's anything from the other of you two, thanks for tuning in to TDU, guys. Bolt up. See you next time on the show. Thank you.
Rivers backpedals looking, firing. He's got Floyd turning. Got it. Zigzag. 10, 5, high step. Touchdown! San Diego!